Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Boxe ce soir, Alexandre Vachon et Brandon Tidball.
Alors, Eric Nielsen, Jonathan Tremblay. Alors,
Gord et Kevin Cormier.
Oh my goodness. Two heavyweights. Gabby Rock of Drummondville and Kevin Cormier of Shawinigan.
Plenty of play. And now we've got a scary situation. There's a Cape Breton Screaming Eagle on the bench. He is on the bench in the middle of that pile-up with the Teton. That is George Davis on the bench, and he jumped right into the bench. And that's what we're talking about.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 5 in a Game. I hope everybody's doing okay out there. I know it's a stressful time of year and everything like that, and Christmas is approaching. I mean, it's only a few more days left until the big man comes for all the kids, so I hope everybody has a great Christmas, a very Merry Christmas, and, you know, take care over the holidays and everything, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to the 5 in a Game YouTube channel. I just want to say thanks to everybody who supports the channel and all you guys that watch them. It really means a lot. Makes this for me doing a lot better and funner, knowing that, you know, you guys are really digging it. So I really appreciate all the eyes on this. I hope you guys liked the last episode where I covered Marty Doyle's career. If you guys didn't check that out, be sure to go look at that one. That was an absolute great one. It really was fun. Marty was one tough cat, and you're going to see Marty Doyle's name come up a couple more times today as I cover yet another Quebec Major Junior Hockey League tough guy. And the guy I'm talking about is number 44 for the PEI Rocket, Jimmy Bonneau. Jimmy Bonneau, guys, I'm going to tell you, like, the names that are on this list today, I'm sure you guys heard these names before. There was a lot of tough cats around these guys this time, right? And Jimmy Bonneau came out swinging. If you guys want to know a little about Jimmy Bonneau, just check out the Fourth Line Voices podcast there about Pierre-Luc Leblanc. He talks about Jimmy Bonneau and how they know each other and all that stuff. And Jimmy Bonneau is a tough dude, man, real tough dude. But since I mentioned the Fourth Line Voice podcast, I just want to give them a shout out. I just want to say thanks to Darren over at Fourth Line Voice there. He hooked me up with the Marty Doyle pictures for the cover, actually. So shout out to Darren for the pictures of Marty Doyle. I really appreciate that. And thanks again for, you know, getting me going. I know I thank you every show, but it really means a lot, man. And if you guys don't listen to Darren, you guys are nuts. He does a great podcast, the Fourth Line Voice, absolutely amazing, where he interviews former tough guys from all over the different leagues and globe there. So his show is awesome. Five for Fighting podcast with Alec, another great podcast. So if you guys are into podcasts about hockey enforcers, definitely check those guys out. They do amazing work. But yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for taking out time to come to this channel. Please like and subscribe. It would really mean a lot. I'd really, really appreciate it. Try to get the word out there about this channel, where I'm just covering right now Quebec Major Junior Hockey League tough guys. But you never know, you know what I mean? We might branch off and go do other things. We're just kind of doing our thing right now. But let's talk about why all you guys came here today, and let's talk about Jimmy Bonneau. Jimmy Bonneau was born March 22nd, 1985 from Baie-Comeau. Jimmy was a left winger. He stood at 6'3", 220 pounds. He came in at 147th overall and in the 10th round in 2002 for it was at the time the Montreal Rocket before they went on and turned over to the PEI Rocket. But yeah, Jimmy's first season, man, Jimmy came in swinging. He played 65 games. He had 1 goal that season, 5 assists, and 261 penalty minutes that season. So Jimmy was busy his first year. There's no doubt about that. He came in finishing the year with a whopping 23 fights that season. So at that time, like when we go over these guys on the list here, like Jimmy fought them all, man. He really and truly did. Jimmy, he was also a great hockey player too. Over the years, like I said, we're just focusing on his first year right now, but as time goes on, and if you got a chance to watch Jimmy Bonneau when he played the PEI Rockets, man, he was a really good player, really hard-hitting player, but the man could fight, man. The man could really fight. So to the start of his season, on his path to 23 fights, his first fight is against Thomas Bellemare, a big left-hander, and really a big name to have on your fight card, your first fight in the queue. him and Thomas Bellemare kind of has, do a little bit more wrestling than anything. Jimmy tries to get the right hands going and do what he can, but Thomas Bellemare, just a big, strong dude, man, just kind of overpowers Jimmy in that one. But like I said, it's Jimmy's first fight in the queue outside of tryouts and preseason, you know what I mean? I try to dig that up for you guys to see who Jimmy fought in the preseason, but nothing was on record there, so I don't know who he went at it in training camp. But moving on, he has a good fight with Thomas Bellemare, and then he takes on the most penalized player in one season, Marc-Andre Watt, and these guys just start throwing haymakers. I mean, this is a very impressive fight for Jimmy, being the rookie in the league, and he just goes toe-to-toe with Marc-Andre Watt. And this is also Wa's rookie season. So these two guys put on one hell of a performance for each other's first real big fights. So Jimmy did really good in that one, I must say. That was a very entertaining fight. So Jimmy's rolling through the league now. He's got Thomas Bellemare, Marc-Andre Watt under his belt, and then he gets to this guy, the Hammer, Jonathan Tremblay. I mean, Jonathan Tremblay, like I said in my other videos, he was like the king of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and him and Jimmy have an okay fight. I mean, it like I said, Jonathan Tremblay was the pedestal back in these days. So for Jimmy to drop his gloves with Jonathan Tremblay, which he did 2 times that season, I mean, that goes without saying. It really and truly does. So Jimmy's already doing his thing. He's trying to make a name for himself around the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and the word is spreading fast about Jimmy Bonneau for the Rockets, right? So in that season so far, as he gets across, he fights Jonathan Tremblay, Marc-Andre Watt, and Thomas Bellemare. He fought Thomas Bellemare a total of 3 times that season, and Marc-Andre Watt 5. So, and Jonathan Tremblay, like I said, twice. So he's got the heavy hitters a lot that season. So, like I said, Jimmy Bonneau is really taking on all the big dogs his first year in the queue, and he's holding his own. He really and truly is. And after that fight with Jonathan Tremblay, he goes on to fight other guys like Nick Fougier, Jeremy Knight, and he has a really, really good fight with Martin Tromp. Martin Tromp is a guy who's still lacing the skates today and still doing the job. I actually got to see Martin Tromp because he played for Cape Breton. Like I said in other episodes, that's where I'm from. Martin Tromp was a really tough guy. He had another guy on his team called Nathan Vino. He was another tough guy too. But him and Martin Tromp have a real good fight. These guys leave it all on the table. They really and truly do. These guys just swing at one another and just aim for they're swinging for the fences. They really and truly are. It's a really good fight for both Martin Tromp and Jimmy, as neither one of them goes down. Martin Tromp from down around that area, so I'm sure he had friends and family in the building that night that he just wanted to show that he was there. And him and Jimmy go at it, man. So Jimmy goes on after that fight and has a fight with Eric Nielsen, and then he goes on to kind of get a rivalry going after this, where he comes in and he fights Curtis Tidball twice that season. So Jimmy came in guns blazing. Like I said, he took on all the top guys that there was. You know what I mean? Like, what a stacked fight card for Jimmy. There's a couple of ones on there, that didn't get mentioned, but to go to 23 fights. But those guys that I just told you about, that is literally the who's who of the queue at that time. That is a heavyweight roster for your first year as a rookie. And it doesn't stop there. We're going into the season 2, Jimmy's second season for the PEI Rocket now at this point in 2003. He played 70 games. He had 7 goals, 12 assists, and 263 penalty minutes with a whopping 35 fights that season. So Jimmy kicks off the year with a good solid fight against Tyler Chambers for the Quebec Ramparts. And these guys have an absolute war. Tyler Chambers, another underestimated cute tough guy. He only played in the league for maybe a total of 30 or 40 games or something like that. He wasn't around the queue long. He only played half that season, and then he kind of just fizzled out. I don't know why, because I thought he played a really good part to the Quebec Ramparts, and he has a good solid fight card as well. But him and Jimmy just really go at it in this one. I mean, both guys landing amazing shots on one another. I mean, it's a pretty even fight if you have to ask me. I mean, these guys give it their all. And like I said, this is the first game of the season that these guys line up with each other. Both people haven't this is their first fight. And Jimmy comes out on top at the end, but it was a pretty even fight if you have to ask me. So, like I said, Jimmy doesn't slow down at all. He fights Jonathan Tremblay 5 times that year. So, Jimmy Bonneau is not backing down, and he's trying to be the top dog at the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, fighting all the top guys just like he did the year before. And another name I'm going to name on this list is he fights Eric Nielsen 3 times. Eric Nielsen was a real tough cat for the Rimouski Oceanic. I mean, big number 29. Him and Jimmy just fire bombs at one another. I mean, and that's what it was when these two guys fought. It wasn't this wrestling around. It was, who could just throw the best punches. And these guys connected on every single level. I mean, these guys' fights were amazing. He also went on to fight Patrick Tessier twice that season. He fought Cody Doucette 3 times. He fought Ryan Hand, Sheldon Wenzel, another tough guy for the Lewiston Maniacs. I mentioned him. Scott Gibson, another tough big dude for the Victoriaville Tigers, man. Scott Gibson was a very, very good heavyweight of the league. Jimmy also went on to fight Terry Douville twice that season. Big dude from the Moncton Wildcats. He fought George Davis, Pierre-Luc LeBlanc, and him and Marty Doyle. Of course, Marty Doyle, the guy that I just did an episode on my last one. These two guys throw missiles at one another. I mean, what a great time to be a Quebec Major Junior Hockey League fan when these guys were around. Jimmy Bonneau and Marty Doyle going at it. I mean, what more could you ask for? Him and Marty have a good, solid tilt back and forth. In my opinion, I mean, it was a solid fight back then. It was a really solid. Even now, it's a solid fight now. I just wish the refs wouldn't have got in as early as they did, because I don't think these guys were done. But overall, a very entertaining scrap for both guys. Jimmy finishes the year fighting Francis Waltier for the Gatineau Olympics. These two guys have a really good fight. It's the way that Jimmy ends his 35 fights that season, and these two guys just go at it. So, like I said, Jimmy Bonneau didn't slow down at all coming into season 2 for him. He's trying to get his name around there. At this point, it's not even that he's trying to get his name around there. He's a pretty well-known tough guy around the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. I mean, if you can fight Jonathan Tremblay 5 times in one season and Eric Nielsen 3 times, you're a pretty tough dude. So tough that I failed to mention that year, Jimmy got drafted in the 8th round, 241th overall by the Montreal Canadiens. So, fighting all them top guys in that season, that got Jimmy drafted to the NHL. And what better way to do it than be drafted by the team that you're from? He's from Quebec, getting drafted by Montreal. I mean, that's a huge, huge accomplishment for Jimmy Bonneau. So we're rolling into the 2004 season. It's his last season in the Q. Jimmy plays 70 games, 11 goals, 11 assists, and 234 PIMs that season, while racking up 30 fights. And the card that he has is just as good as always. He starts off by fighting Nathan Saunders. He has a couple rounds with Pierre-Luc LeBlanc. And then he has a run-in with Kevin Cormier, who's in his rookie season. And Kevin Cormier was untouchable this season. And he just makes quick work of Jimmy. But it's nothing to frown upon, because if anybody knows who Kevin Cormier is, that was his season to be the absolute best. So for him to go like that with Jimmy, that just says an understatement. But Jimmy Bonneau is by far one of the toughest dudes in the league at this point. He fights Nick Fougier. He fights Marty Doyle twice that season. Benoit Pichet, Sheldon Wenzel, Olivier Legault, Robin Richards twice, Ryan Hand, and David Starenki, and Brandon Tidball. So he has one hell of his last season in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, going through the list as always that Jimmy did. So my opinion on Jimmy Bonneau's Quebec Major Junior Hockey League career is he was a real one. Jimmy Bonneau came into the league swinging, and he wanted to be well known as a tough guy, and he did just that. He fought all the toughest guys the Q had to offer in his time in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and he was one of the pound-for-pound best around at the time. Jimmy Bonneau, honestly, is going to go down as one of the toughest PEI Rockets and one of the toughest guys to ever be in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. Jimmy went on to play a lot of seasons in the AHL. He had a long stint there, man, and he did the same thing he did in the Quebec League. He fought them all. Jimmy Bonneau had an amazing hockey career, and it all started in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. So, like I said, Jimmy Bonneau was a real one, and Jimmy Bonneau really did the job and did the job well. And like I said, he's one of the toughest guys to ever walk in the door. So that's all I have for the career of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League's PEI Rockets former player, Jimmy Bonneau. Like I said, Jimmy was the man, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Big shout out to Jimmy Bonneau, and thank you guys for watching. It really means a lot. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Enjoy your day, guys, and take care.